Nice.
God.
Good shit, Val.
Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to be teaching you how you can improve your aim significantly over time in Rainbow Six Siege. Now these techniques are kind of cumulative, meaning the more of them that you do and the more consistently that you do them, the more your aim will improve over time, right? This is, if you do this right now, it's not going to make your aim god tier, but if you're consistent, this will absolutely improve your aim. So first things first, let's pick a character. We're in the shooting range here, so pick a character. Try to think which characters you play a lot on attack and defense, and which weapons you want to get better with on those characters. So don't just pick some random character just to get better, because this actually matters, right? You need to know how the weapon works. So for me, I play a lot of Iana. I'm going to be using the G36C, and so I have the 1.6 scope on this, or 1.5 scope. But this is what we're doing here. So I'm going to set this to 10 meters. And so first things first, you really want to understand that in Rainbow Six Siege, recoil is a lot simpler than in other FPS games like Valorant and Counter-Strike, right? So the recoils definitely vary. It varies from gun to gun, but overall the recoil is pretty simple. It kind of just goes up and maybe slightly to the left or to the right. So you're going to see, I'm going to kind of demonstrate here. See, this one kind of just went up and to the right a little bit. That one went up pretty straight, right? Let's try it one more time. So you see, there's just a little bit of variation, so you can't know for sure. It's a little bit of randomization, but not near as much, not near as much complexity as a game like Valorant, right? So for example, if I want to control my recoil here, it's not going to be very hard. I just need to pull down. So, you know, practice this. This is very simple. It's not going to be too hard to do this with different characters that, weapons that you kind of might want to master, right? Especially if you just picked up a new operator, you haven't used their weapons. This is really good to do. But then also understand, is the weapon that you're using shorter medium range or is it longer range, right? So for here, this weapon is definitely going to shine most in this distance. At this distance, this can still work. This is fine. You see, there's a little bit more spread, but still not too bad. If we go to 30 meters, it's going to be definitely not as good for spraying. As you can see here, I'd probably want to be tapping or just kind of avoiding fights at this range. And now, this is something that you might not have known before, but after you practicing in the range, you're going to start to realize this. Next, guys, I'm going to move along quickly because I know I don't want to waste your time. So let's go ahead and go into options. We're going to be talking about sensitivity. So hit options, hit controls. And here we're going to have a mouse sensitivity vertical and horizontal. So if you're on Xbox or PlayStation, this still applies. If you come from a different game, try to think, did you have a fast sensitivity, high sensitivity? If you are on PC, you can use a sensitivity converter with your DPI. So for Valorant, you can put in your sensitivity and your DPI, and it'll spit you out a sensitivity for Rainbow Six Siege. For me, it's 5 and 5. And one thing that you'll notice here is that whenever I do a full 360 on my mousepad, whenever I do a full 360 on my mousepad, it's going to do a full 360. A full swipe on my mousepad, it's going to do a full 360 and a little bit more. So for most of you, what I would recommend is doing a full swipe on your mousepad should be just about a 360. For me, I like to go just a little bit over in most games because I like to have a very slightly faster sensitivity than that, but that's what I'd recommend. So again, you have to understand this is going to vary depending on how big your mousepad, how wide your mousepad is. So my mousepad is about this wide. It's about a little over a foot, I would say. It's pretty wide, so a lot of you might have smaller mouse pads, and maybe you'll have a size like this. That means your sensitivity needs to be significantly higher in order to do a 360 with just one swipe. Now, if you're on console, that's fine. You can use this technique as well, like by using just kind of whatever's comfortable, right? But another good way to gauge it is, let's say we look at the stop sign here. I'm gonna be flicking from these two stop signs like this. Now, you see, I can flick to these pretty well. I'm trying to flick into the middle of them. And I can do that pretty consistently with a little bit of error, right? I'm not perfect. Nobody's really perfect here, but this is pretty good. So now what we're looking for here is if whenever you're flicking, you're going like this a lot. This is called over flicking. Now, if you're doing this consistently, this means you should probably turn your sensitivity down, right? Similarly, if you're going to the left and you're over flicking like this, then you probably want to turn your sensitivity down.
Time for a coffee.
Now, if we're kind of under flicking like this consistently and we can't quite make it to this white stop sign, then you're probably going to want to raise your sensitivity just a little bit. Now, with all this being said, guys, you should not be changing your sensitivity like a lot, because it's gonna actually have negative effects instead of actually benefit you, right? So these are the basics. One more thing that I think a lot of people, even in plat still, maybe not plat, but maybe gold and below, struggle with is understanding when to be leaning and how it kind of benefits you. So, you know, I don't want to sound like, I don't want to make this too simple, but you can see whenever I'm leaning around a corner, I can see slightly more. Like right here, I can see just right here. This, I can see right here, I'm going to put bullet holes right here. But then whenever I lean, I can see over to here. So this is a pretty good distance. I can see from here to here just from leaning. So if you're not, so let's say you also have to be leaning in the right direction. If you're not leaning the right direction, then you're actually going to make it harder, right? You're gonna kind of minimize what you can see. So whenever you're peeking around a wall, make sure you kind of go out, not in. You want to go out. So if I want to go this way, I need to go out, not in, out, right? And so this is something, it's kind of weird, especially if you're not used to this. Not many games have something like this. Most games don't, but this is something that's unique to Rainbow Six Siege, and this is definitely related to aiming, and this is definitely something you're going to want to kind of improve if you want to get better aim. So this is some bare bones, very fundamental but extremely useful stuff that you can practice, especially in Deathmatch, which is what I'm going to be talking about in the next section. Anyways, you know, if you have any questions about this stuff, let me know in the comments, and we'll move on to Deathmatch. So the next step is going to be take those guns, take the new sensitivity, the new basic fundamental mechanics that we've kind of talked about into Deathmatch, right? So make sure, again, that you're picking a character that you're going to actually be playing in comp, because if you're picking a character just randomly, then you're not going to be using the weapon that you actually want to master. So here, again, I'm on Iana, the same character that we were practicing in the range. And here I'm in Deathmatch, so we can kind of I'm just gonna let this play in the background just a little bit and then talk over it. So focus, you know, try to think, you know, what mechanical things do I kind of struggle with, right? So for me, you know, it might be learning how to peek. For you, it might be learning how to peek around corners properly. For me, it might just be running and not holding angles. So what that means is you run into a situation and then you're getting shot before you actually even have your weapon out. This is obviously a problem because it takes, in Rainbow Six Siege, it takes quite a long time for you to actually pull your weapon out and shoot, especially if you have longer range weapons. Now, so, you know, if you don't struggle with any of those things, it's probably going to be on you to really figure out what it is that you actually struggle with, right? So, for me, I definitely struggle with both of those things initially. But that's exactly what Deathmatch has helped me with, right? It's helped me understand how to peek around corners, like I was explaining in the last section. It helps me, you know, not run into the areas with my gun out like that. If I ran out with my gun and then he saw me first, I would have probably died. SMGs, you pull out a little bit quicker. Also, expect the unexpected, right? You see that I'm holding angles. I don't know for sure if there's anyone here. See, it turns out there's nobody there. But I'm still expecting them to be there, right? Just like any game, you expect people to be everywhere. Not any game, but like any FPS game, any competitive game, any competitive shooter, you're going to expect people to be pretty much everywhere, right? You expect the unexpected. And if you do this in comp, it's gonna reward you quite heavily. There are a variety of things that we could be focusing on here, right? So it's really going to be on you to identify what it is that you actually struggle with mechanically. Unfortunately, I can't tell you exactly. I can give you some general things I know that I've struggled with and I've seen other people struggle with. Now, keep in mind that we're talking strictly mechanics here, right? So mechanics are not everything in this game. In fact, I would say that mechanics like aim, movement, stuff like that are actually not as important in this game as a lot of games. So, you know, understand that. You know, if you want videos on like how to drone, you know, how to use utility, how to reinforce, you know, how to hold sights and stuff, I'll make videos on that as well. Just leave a comment, let me know. But, you know, mechanics are important. I don't want to downplay it, but they're not everything. So, but you know, it still warrants a video just like this. Also, keep in mind crosshair placement. Crosshair placement is always important in any game. I was very confused. I didn't realize this guy dropped here. So yeah, crosshair placement is important. Basically, what that means is placing your crosshair at headshot level. You should be placing your crosshair at headshot level because one bullet from pretty much any gun in this game is going to be a kill. Whereas if you're aiming at the chest, it's going to take multiple bullets, right? It's going to take multiple bullets to kill them. And that's something that I actually struggle with. I'm not really sure why, because in a game like Valorant or Counter-Strike, I'm pretty good with headshot. But here you can see I'm kind of body shotting a lot of people. Not every shot, but it might be because there's a slight difference in headshot level. In order to figure this out, just kind of envision where the enemy's head is going to be as you're playing. And then, you know, place your crosshair there. Like right here, I probably should aim a little bit higher. Here, I'll go ahead and pause right here so you guys can see. So right here, you see I'm aiming a little bit low. So this is actually good. Like, I'm learning something, right? I'm learning something because I realize that I'm not placing my crosshair at headshot level. Right here is where I'm aiming. I should be aiming up just like very little bit more. Now, this isn't horrible, right? I'm still getting kills. I'm still playing pretty well. But this is going to be limiting how quickly I can kill people. And in a competitive game, that very well might be the difference between getting the kills quick enough to win the game and not getting the kills or just dying, right, and losing. So keep that in mind. I pull out my pistol. Okay. So, you know, like I said, there's a lot of things you can focus on. I'm not going to go through this whole deathmatch VOD. If you guys have any questions about this, let me know. Overall, pretty kind of simple, simple ideas, but what's really important is, again, is being consistent. Doing this once or doing this like even just twice is probably not going to make a massive difference, right? You're really probably going to need to do this consistently or repeatedly. I don't play deathmatch every day, but I try to. I play deathmatch probably 5 times a week in the last 3 weeks. Like I said, I've been grinding this game like crazy. So I've gotten a lot better pretty rapidly. Whereas if someone played this game a few times a week, they're probably not going to become quite as good as quickly anyway. So keep that in mind. That's the case for anything, right? If you want to get better at running, if you want to get better at anything, you want to do it consistently. You want to do it repeatedly. So anyways, guys, if you have any questions, let me know. This is all going to help your aim out significantly, especially if you do the things at the start first. But yeah, guys, let me know if you have any questions. Leave some comments down below. Support me, please. I want to, you know, I want to take Rainbow Six Siege on my channel to the next level. And, you know, enjoy your day and peace.